Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. The show originally aired on the Premier Network Saturday, June 29th, 2019. This is episode 1604. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by DigitalOcean. Deploy and scale your apps seamlessly on the simplest cloud platform. Join over 150,000 businesses that use DigitalOcean. Sign up today and receive a free $50 credit at do.co/twit. And by Lastpass, the #1 most preferred password manager. Just remember your master password, and LastPass remembers the rest. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Yes, it's time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography. We got your smartphones, we got your smart watches, we got your augmented reality, we got your video reality, we've got your real reality. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. It's toll free from the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you could still reach me. You just have to use Skype out or something like that to call. It should still be free. 888-827-5536. So Huawei's back, baby. I can't figure this thing out. Either they're a secure... Is it... It was always unclear. The U.S. Department of Congress in 2012 said the Chinese phone manufacturers, telcos, Huawei, ZTE, and Xiaomi were dangerous and the U.S. government and military shouldn't use their equipment, including the phones. Huawei, the number 2 or 3 phone manufacturer in the world after Apple and Samsung. Then in a couple of years ago, the U.S. intelligence agency said, yeah, we think Huawei either is up to no good or could be up to no good, and they were trying to persuade everybody not to use Huawei gear, especially in the big networks like the 5G networks, because the theory would be Huawei, we're not clear on the ownership. It could be owned by the Chinese government or invested by the Chinese government. Certainly the guy who runs Huawei is former Chinese military. And then there's always the fact that any company operating in China is subject, as any company in the U.S. operating in the U.S. is subject to the rules of the government. And the Chinese government could, in a shooting war, and by the way, these cyber wars are shooting wars. They're already happening. Russia's invading our power grid. We're invading their power grid. We launched a massive, we even announced it, cyber war last week against Iran. Our hackers are better than your hackers. So that was a fear, is that the Chinese would have access to our networks and the networks of our allies. Then when the trade war broke out, the U.S. government declared Huawei a dangerous foreign entity and forbade any U.S. company to sell or do business with Huawei. That pretty much killed Huawei, just as we pretty much killed ZTE last year with the same kind of thing, because Huawei relies on U.S. companies like Qualcomm and Google to make its phones. In fact, a considerable amount of money is spent with U.S. companies to make its phones, and they were now forbidden. Google said, "Okay, well, you can't have Android and no more updates." But Qualcomm, Google, all the companies that make components in the Huawei phones were petitioning the U.S. government like crazy. Now, of course, the president is in China. I'm sorry, is at G20 summit in Japan, but also there, besides all the other leaders, including Vladimir Putin, is President Xi of China. They sat down and apparently decided, you know what? Go ahead, Huawei. And the president unilaterally lifted restrictions. So now we really don't know. It's funny because this was the first time this week that I'd seen any evidence that Huawei maybe was up to no good. We've all along I've been saying, well, boy, okay, if that's the case, yeah, maybe they're not, but it would be nice if we kind of knew what it is. a company testing gear to see how vulnerable to hackers it is. A U.S. Research firm said that Huawei is much more vulnerable to hackers, maybe intentionally. A White House official said, this is like 3 days ago, Huawei has maintained covert access to some of its systems it's installed for international customers. Huawei does not disclose this covert access to customers or local governments. This covert access enables Huawei to record information and modify databases on those local systems. A company called Finite State in Columbus, Ohio, tried to hack all this gear. And they said that half of the nearly 10,000 firmware images, that's the software that's burned into this networking gear, was vulnerable to at least one exploit from bad guys. Not just Huawei, but many, many others too. It's so confusing. I don't know what to make of it. The only reason I care is that these Huawei phones are pretty spectacularly good. The P20, I had the P20, loved it. The newest Huawei, the Mate Pro, very nice. Huawei also makes a laptop that many consider a rival to Apple's MacBooks. They said, we're not going to put that one out because there won't be a market in the U.S., so it's very confusing. Are they dangerous? And then why are we trading with them? If they're not dangerous, then why weren't we? I don't know. I can't figure it out. Oh, speaking of which, Apple, remember, announced at WWDC a few weeks ago a new Mac Pro, very expensive, starts at $6,000. That's without a keyboard, mouse, or monitor, and probably if you add the monitor that they're offering, we're talking $15,000 to start, and I think probably a little bit more once it's all said and done, like lots more, maybe twice as much. Unlike their previous Mac Pro, which was made in Texas and had quite a few flaws and defects, by the way, Apple has decided to make its Mac Pro computer in China. It's a Taiwanese company, Quanta Computer, so they're our allies, but they're going to make it in Shanghai, China. That's called China. And the reason Apple and many companies make so much stuff in China, not only is it's not that, I think people think, oh, it's cheap labor. And certainly there is cheap labor there, but that's not, the main reason is the manufacturing capabilities of China are so good, a lot due to Apple moving its iPhone production there over the last 12 years. It's really been, they've built up this amazing manufacturing capability. Plus, it's closer to all the components, which are also made in China and other areas in Asia, so they can save on shipping costs, because otherwise they have to ship everything to the U.S., assemble it, and then ship it. So they made a lot of noise about how, we're going to make it in America with the last Mac Pro. That was 2013. That was then. This is now. And finally, Twitter, which has been under a lot of heat from the president, saying I'm not sure exactly what evidence he has of this, but he says he would have many more followers if Twitter didn't somehow prevent that. I'm not sure I believe that. Twitter, though, is a little sensitive to this notion that, well, on the one hand, some people say some of the president's tweets violate Twitter's own policy. And then Twitter says, yeah, but he's the president. So what do you want us to do? Block him? No. But it's a problem. So Twitter has now come up with a halfway solution. If somebody tweets something that, including the president, that breaks Twitter's rules, Twitter will now notify that user of the violation and then put a little gray box over it saying, the Twitter rules about abusive behavior apply to this tweet. However, Twitter has determined it may be in the public's interest for the tweet to remain available. If you want to view it, click here. This will only apply to tweets from accounts belonging to political figures, verified users, and accounts with more than 100,000 followers. I'm really tempted to try this out, but I won't. I won't. In the past, we've allowed certain tweets that violated our rules, Twitter wrote, to remain on Twitter because, well, that was in the public interest. Serving the public conversation includes providing the ability for anyone to talk about what matters to them. This can be especially important when engaging with government officials and political figures. I have to say that's true, right? So this is their kind of half compromise. I can't wait. I'm going to be looking for those gray boxes. Don't you think that makes you want to click on it and like, whoa, what's under here? What do you think? What do you say this time? Oh, it seems to me forbidden fruit is always more interesting than just something right out there. It seems to me, but what do I know? I'm just the tech guy. All right, we're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we have much more to talk about, including your phone calls. 8888 Ask Leo. Also a reminder that everything I talk about on the show is on our website, so you don't have to write anything down. I just say that ahead of time, so you don't have to worry about it. Don't have to write anything down. All you have to do is go to techguylabs.com. And by the way, it's free, no charge, and you're more than welcome to peruse it, to comment even. techguylabs.com. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Let's take a little break, come back, and talk high tech. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's time for the Kimmy Schaffer Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Kimmy don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kim.
Good morning.
Wonderful to see you.
You too.
Did you have a wonderful week?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you watch the U.S. women's team kick France's behind?
About 3 minutes of it.
Oh. All you had to see was the last 3 minutes.
Exactly.
It was very exciting.
Yeah.
So
go.
So at the English pub you frequent, they like soccer, but they like English soccer. They don't care about the Women's World Cup. Is that it?
Well, they like it all.
They don't care.
Any excuse.
Any excuse to tip a pint.
Exactly.
Eat some, what is that? Those sausage rolls?
Sausage rolls.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Well, Kimmy, hello.
Good morning.
Should I take a call?
You should. Let's see. Matt in San Diego, he's looking. Is there such thing as a Bluetooth printer that does not require Wi-Fi? And if there is,
what a clever idea.
Suggest one. I wasn't really sure if that existed or not, so I thought I'd leave it to the professional.
Yeah, I'm a trained professional. Yeah. Do not try this at home.
Do not attempt this at home.
Thank you, Kim Schaffer. And I'm going to have to do some research for Matt in San Diego. Hi, Matt.
Hey, good day.
That's a clever idea. I'm sure there is such a thing.
Well, I was under a misimpression thinking, Bluetooth printer.
Well, that seems like an obvious idea. It would have to be within, 10 meters, 30 feet of the computer in most cases, although there is newer Bluetooth that can travel farther.
But here's the catch.
Oh.
Here's what I've found.
Yeah.
I'm in an environment in which the company I reside at doesn't want me to use their wireless network.
Yeah. That's not unusual because of fears that anything you attach to that network could be a gateway to hacking. It just happened actually to NASA, to JPL. Somebody had brought in a Raspberry Pi, one of those little $35 computers, for who knows what. Maybe he was just going to monitor the coffee pot down the hall. But it turned out to have vulnerabilities, and hackers got into NASA and were wandering around for more than a year. Oh, how embarrassing. So it's reasonable for companies to say, we're going to limit what you can attach to our network.
So at this environment, I have a desktop computer and a printer that is plugged in.
Yeah.
And that works.
Yeah.
But what I do is I bring a laptop in, and I thought, Bluetooth printer, this is awesome. I can go out and buy one. So I bought an Epson, had it all set up. I couldn't figure out what I was missing. I called Epson, and they said, well, yeah, it'll work, but you need wireless internet for access to Bluetooth.
So, yeah, I think sometimes what they do is they put the Bluetooth in as a way of discovering the printer. And then once the computer discovers the printer, it installs a Wi-Fi print driver. In other words, they don't expect you to print with it.
So that was my question. My question is, based on the environment that I have, what I'd like to do is bring my wire. I don't want to use the HP system where I have to print to some cloud thing and then it go. What I want to do is I want to hit the print button, and I want it to print in the printer just like wirelessly, but through Bluetooth. Is that possible, or are we not advanced to that?
That's a really interesting question. I see a system called the HP Tango. They call it the first smart home printer. I don't know what makes that smart. Yes, he's cloud-based.
See, everything
cloud-based is what they mean by smart. The idea is you could use your cell phone. That's probably, by the way. That's
it. That's the technology that's out there. I've discovered is I can do it with my cell phone, but I can't do it with my, and which doesn't make any sense to me because with what you just described, secure environments, and if I have a printer and a computer next to each other,
why couldn't they just talk to each other? Yeah.
Why can't they talk to each other? And Leo, I knew that you would have the answer because you are the man.
Except that I'd never really thought about this. I'm looking. Boy, it looks like most of these that say Bluetooth are in fact cloud, and the idea is because your phone. I'm sure there's ways to do this, but why isn't it direct Bluetooth printing? Maybe there's some reason.
There you go.
That Bluetooth is not ideal for printing. Like it's not designed to send that much data that fast.
And I'm guessing that must be it. It's too much data, too fast, and we, with our expectation of hit the print button and it print, we would
be disappointed.
We'd be very disappointed because it would take 8 minutes and we'd sit there, or take 2 minutes and it would seem like 8.
It does seem like. I did a Google for Bluetooth printers and I see all these answers, but I think you've already done all of this.
Right.
And the best Bluetooth printers I'm reading have gradually been replaced by, quote, wireless printers. So Bluetooth, I guess, was used for a while.
Oh, interesting.
And then has been kind of replaced. Star Micronics makes a Bluetooth-only printer. These are for receipts. No, that's no good. All right, I'm going to have to punt and keep the chat room working on this one. Maybe somebody listening says, I'll tell you, if it's something you use, you can print directly from your computer to a printer. Let us know. That's an interesting. This is a portable Star Micronics, but it's for receipts, which is no good. It's a thermal printer. Both of these are receipts. I know a lot of printers, like our sponsor, the Epson Workforce, have Bluetooth.
Yeah.
But okay, maybe I should. Supports print rate of 20 pages per minute. So I'm trying to figure out. See, simply having Bluetooth doesn't mean it prints by Bluetooth. It might mean that you can connect to it and establish. Maybe this is it. So I'm looking at a review that says Epson Workforce Pro WF3720, which is going to be a big one, but if it's probably going to be too big. But they make a smaller variety of these. Wireless Wi-Fi Direct. MFC WF3270. Okay, Brother makes a compact monochrome laser printer. This would be a better choice for you. Unless, is space an issue? You don't want it to be too big, probably.
I don't, and it's really just for my hit the button one item, because otherwise I have the office thing that I can use, but I have to walk to it, and this is just in my office, and Bluetooth would be awesome. And what was the Brother, Mike?
Brother compact monochrome which is
Monochrome.
actually a good choice because it's an inexpensive laser printer. But I would verify that it's going to do what you want it to do. HP 4650 is a, quote, Bluetooth portable printer.
Again, I think when I went to both Staples and Office Depot, the two most disappointing places on earth, and they, for the most part, manager from clerk to manager, they don't have a clue as to what I'm talking about. I mean, they can't distinguish between there's just not a knowledge base. It's very difficult to find.
It seems like such an obvious, simple thing, doesn't it?
I know. That's what I would have thought.
So, yeah, a lot of these are from a phone to a printer, but I think it uses the cloud.
Yeah, and
okay, HP printers, Bluetooth guide for HP printers. Certain HP printers, it supports pairing. That's the problem. It's all about pairing,
right,
not about printing. And that's the thing that and it's not very clear where it says.
I know. That's what I found.
It's really unclear. Let's see. Let me try this. No Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, printing. How about that?
I didn't think of that.
Yeah. I think most of the cases it's basically using it to pair.
Right.
All right. Well, we're just going to keep looking here, and I now understand the confusion, and of course, it seems like that should be obvious. There are Bluetooth printer adapters out there. Wi-Fi. So Wi-Fi Direct is another thing to look at because that means that the printer sets up its own Wi-Fi network. And then you join it and print to it. So in other words, it wouldn't be using the company's Wi-Fi. So that's what I would look at. It's ad hoc Wi-Fi or Wi-Fi Direct. I think that's going to be better. And that's where I bet you that's where the Bluetooth comes in. That's how they're pairing. Scott Wilkinson's here, home theater guru. He is a contributor to TechHive.com, joins us every week to talk about big screen TVs and surround sound. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Leo.
What's up in the home theater world?
Well, I wanted to tell you today about a product that I just finished reviewing for Macworld, which is a sibling site to TechHive. They're both under the IDG umbrella, along with PC World. But I've started to do now reviews of true wireless in-ear monitors. You're familiar with those, of course.
In-ear monitors are the ones you stick in. By the way,
in your ear.
I would like to point out there was an article this week, you probably saw it before you get to the review, saying that the little earbuds like Apple's AirPods that float on your ear are actually more hazardous to your hearing because they don't seal the ear, and you're tempted to turn them up way too loud. So an in-ear monitor is actually a good choice because that does seal your ear, right?
Or it's supposed to. And the tricky part about in-ear monitors is achieving a good seal.
Yeah.
Now, most of them come with a variety of ear tips, right? That are either silicone or memory foam.
Right.
And, they come in different sizes, and people's ear canals are of different sizes, so that's a good thing. But in my case, I usually need to get the largest ear tip I can. And sometimes the largest one that comes with these in-ear monitors isn't big enough. And if you don't get a good seal, it doesn't sound very good. You don't get good bass response. It sounds kind of tizzy and fizzy and weird. So
that's when you're tempted to turn it up.
Correct.
And it can even really damage your ear.
Right, exactly. So I do not recommend earbuds. In fact, that's the difference between in-ear monitor and earbud. As you said, the earbud just sort of sits outside your ear canal a little bit and doesn't seal at all, like the Apple earbuds. But an in-ear monitor does seal, or it should, and that's what you really want to do. is you want to achieve a good seal. Now, there's a company called Comply, which makes foam ear tips, third party, you can get in different sizes for different earbuds, and in-ear monitors, and that can help you achieve that good seal. What I did, I recently reviewed, and it'll come out on the website probably next week, a set of in-ear monitors from a company called One More, the numeral 1 and then MORE. And they make a variety of wired in-ear monitors and over-ear headphones. But they make one set of true wireless. Now, true wireless is pretty interesting because all it is two little gizmos that you stick in your ear, and there are no wires between them and no wires to the source device, typically your phone, right? It's all done by Bluetooth. And so they could get lost relatively easily. The good news is most of them come with a little case that you stick them in, and you charge them by plugging the case into a USB power source. And the case itself has a battery that keeps them charged much longer than they could be all by themselves. So it's kind of a cool idea, and it kind of keeps them sequestered and findable. So
it's kind of like Apple's AirPods, except they're in the ear.
They're in the ear, and this is critical. I can't stress it enough how important that is. Now, these One More, the company makes one pair of true wireless in-ear monitors. They're called the Stylish. And they're so stylish. And I found that none of the included ear tips worked for me. But fortunately, I had some larger ones from some older JBL wired in-ear monitors that I had, and those worked beautifully. And I was able to put them in my ears. They sealed really well, and they sound phenomenal. Great bass, great clarity, good imaging. Now, one question that I often get is, well, is Bluetooth as good as a wired connection? And the answer is almost. Not quite. I compared these, the One More Stylish, with my current favorite, believe it or not, those $30 Revo Next QT5s that I mentioned some weeks ago.
I bought those because they were so cheap. And
$30.
I really like them, and they seal well if you get the right tip. They seal very well.
Exactly. And when you do that, they sound phenomenal. They're dual driver. They have basically a tweeter and a woofer, if you can believe that, in these little tiny things. The One More Stylish is a single driver. It uses a titanium coated diaphragm, blah, 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 whatever, but it's a single full range driver. I thought that, and I compared them with the Revo Next, and I thought the Revo Next sounded a little better.
For a lot less money, right?
For a lot less money, but they're wired. They have these wires coming off them, and you have to plug them into your phone. And phones these days are losing their headphone jacks, right? So on my iPhone, I have to get an adapter. I have an iPhone XS, one of the new ones, and I have to get an adapter. I know. And it's ridiculous.
Apple doesn't even put the adapter in the box anymore.
I know. You have to buy it, and it's like $15, $20.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So all of a sudden, the Revo Next now costs me close to $50.
Yeah.
So these wireless ones, the One Mores anyway, One More Stylish, sound very good, very close to the wired. Not quite there yet. And these things use Bluetooth 5 with the aptX and AAC codecs.
So I was about to ask you about that, because aptX is a high-fidelity Bluetooth codec. Not all phones support it, but if your phone does, does it sound much better?
Yes.
It's noticeable.
It does.
Okay.
Well, see, I'm not sure if the iPhone XS uses aptX or AAC. See, they support both. aptX is more an Android thing.
Right.
Whereas Apple's high quality codec.
So they have their own high quality codec?
Well, it's AAC. It's a common one. We know about it. It's familiar. It's used a lot. Advanced Audio Codec, I think that stands for. And it's similar to aptX. And
but it's not a Bluetooth protocol. It's a
compression
codec. So what Bluetooth?
aptX is too, though.
Oh, I see. So it's still
aptX
Bluetooth
is-
5. It's just the compression over Bluetooth 5. Is that
Yeah.
right?
That's correct.
Oh, okay.
That's correct. And
Okay.
aptX is a better compression algorithm than what has been used before, and AAC is as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
either
because
one.
I don't think the iPhone has aptX.
No, but it does have AAC.
It has AAC. So that makes, okay.
Yep.
That makes a difference.
So the quality of these is really phenomenal, and they are more expensive. They're $100, but that's really not that bad for true wireless headphones. That's kind of in the low end of the mid-range,
Yeah.
say, of prices.
Well, it's
for
less than the
true wireless.
AirPods. And so you're saying better quality, better
Yep.
for your ears.
Yep.
I think this is a better choice. Say it's the one, what is it called?
It's numeral one. One
Yeah.
more stylish.
One more, and then the model is the stylish.
The model is the stylish. One more is the company.
Stylin. And that is the Stylin Scott Wilkinson, our home theater geek. And that review will be on macworld.com.
Macworld.com. Yeah,
Okay,
probably
good.
next week.
Next week. You'll also find his stuff at techhive.com. And you'll find him here each and every week. If you have a question for him, email Scott at techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Get back to the phone calls. Still looking for a Bluetooth printing solution. Your call's next. Stay here. So I give you the the helm,
Thank you.
the wheel, and I will be back in 4 minutes.
Very good. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. So nice to see you. Jay, sadly, my ear canal is too narrow for most, if not all, tips. Ear canal custom monitors worth the money? Good question. This actually brings up a dilemma, a conundrum that I'm dealing with right now. For you, you probably want to look at the smallest possible ear tips that come with in-ear monitors. And if they don't work, then maybe you do need a custom molded ear tip, essentially. I was just at my audiologist this week and asked her about custom molded in-ear tips for in-ear monitors. And she said, oh, yeah, we make those all the time. What I'm looking for, which is unusual, is a custom molded ear tip that I can use with a variety of different in-ear monitors. Because I'm reviewing them, I want to have a level playing field. Pardon me. I want to have a level playing field that will sort of give me the same experience with all of them so that I can judge their quality without having to worry about, oh, which tip should I use, and it's different for this one or that one. The downside of that approach is that it would not replicate the experience of most users because they're just going to use whatever tips come with the earbuds. So I'm still wrestling with how to approach this. She also said that, oh, no, we make ear tips for specific in-ear monitors. And because they're different, they have the piece that comes out of the, I'll show you here in the stream. So here's the one more, and it's got this larger than is normally available ear tip. And when I take it off, you see this little thing sticking up here. That's called the nozzle, and that's where the sound comes out. Oh, maybe you can't see it very well in the light. Sorry. It's this little piece that sticks out onto which you place the ear tip, and those are different sizes. Different in-ear monitors make nozzles of different sizes, and the ear tip that you put on it has to match that size, that diameter of that nozzle. So she said, oh, well, we make them for specific in-ear monitors, but I don't see how you could make one that would fit on a variety of different ones. Now, Comply makes a generic, if you will, or an adaptable foam ear tip that has some sort of foam on the inner surface, the part that actually connects with the nozzle. And, it can expand and contract to fit around a variety of sizes. I don't imagine it would be impossible to make custom molded ear tips that did that as well, but I don't know anybody that does. I'm going to contact Ultimate Ears and Westone and Etymotic and see if they have done any work in this regard. But the answer to your question, Jay, about ear tips is just if you want to try some in-ear monitors, probably the smallest tips would work best for you. One thing I didn't get to say in my segment there was I much prefer the silicone ear tips to the foam ones. The foam ones, I've never found any that work well to seal my ear canal. So that'd be another thing. You might find that foam tips work better, and especially since they're compressible. You can compress them and stick them in your ear, and then they expand out.
So stick around because we have a call for you.
Oh, sure.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Beautiful summer day. I hope it's beautiful where you are, and I hope you're enjoying it. Thank you for sharing your summer day with me. And we go on to Rick in San Diego. Hello, Rick.
Good afternoon, Leo. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
What's up in your world?
So the situation is this. We recently purchased a new home, and the room that we're going to put the home theater in is impossible to wire for sound for a number of reasons. I've pretty much determined that we're going to go with the LG C9 series 77-inch OLED TV.
That's a nice one. And actually, Scott Wilkinson, who's still hanging around, you said you like it too, Scott.
Oh, yeah, man. That's an awesome TV.
Yeah, I have an LG OLED, a little older one, and I love them. Yeah.
So
okay, and it's 77 inches. That's nice, giant size.
Oh, man,
that's great. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we're going to put Scott to the test now. My problem is sound. I'm looking for a soundbar system. I am trying to find a soundbar that supports Dolby Atmos, but because of the wiring conundrum, I'm going to need wireless rear speakers, probably a wireless subwoofer, although there is a possibility I can wire the subwoofer, and something that does HDMI pass-through and something that has a fiber optic connection to the LG TV.
I know that we reviewed a Vizio Atmos soundbar fairly recently. I think it was Vizio. Does that sound familiar, Scott?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We did. And that would be certainly one recommendation. There are a variety of sound bars that do precisely what you're talking about.
This is not an unusual conundrum.
No, it is not. In fact, I am at the moment in the process of reviewing an LG soundbar that does it does everything you're asking for. It has 3 channels in front. It has 2 up-firing speakers that provide the Atmos overheads. Let me ask you this. In that room, is the ceiling flat rather than, say, cathedral or something like that?
Unfortunately, the ceiling is slightly vaulted. It is a hard ceiling, and it's 9 foot plus at the peak.
How much of an angle is it? Does the vault have?
I'm going to guess maybe 15 degrees or something like that.
It's not too bad then. It's not too bad. It's not ideal, but
so
unless
the thing with Atmos is you're bouncing the sound off the ceiling,
correct,
into your ears, and so those speakers are angled a little bit. Could you adjust the angle maybe on some of them? On the
soundbar, no. It's fixed.
Yeah.
It is fixed. But I'm reviewing an LG soundbar right now called the SL8YG, and it has 3 channels in front. It has 2 up-firing Atmos speakers. It has a wireless subwoofer, and you can buy an optional wireless surround speaker package. And it sounds, so far as I've been able to tell, I've just started my review. It sounds pretty darn good. Now, it's expensive.
Yes. So, Scott, I'm looking at
He's spending like $7,000 on the TV. I think he could.
Yeah.
Right. This is sometimes people spend a lot on a TV and stint on the audio, and audio is a very important part to that of that overall experience.
It's at least 50%.
I would agree.
George Lucas says.
Yeah. That's why he has those THX theaters.
Right. Exactly. So the LG soundbar is $800.
Well, that's not bad. That's not.
And the wireless surround speakers are another 200. The wireless surround speakers do not have up-firing Atmos speakers built into them. I wish they did, because I much prefer 4 channels of overhead Atmos. Now, I'm pretty sure that Vizio does make a soundbar system that includes rear speakers with up-firing Atmos, and they're all wireless. The subwoofers are all wireless. It's exactly what you're asking for.
Yeah, we looked at the Vizio. I mean, it sounds like you don't have a choice. So, Rick. But I have to say, there in no way in my experience is wireless going to sound as good as wired. Or am I off
No,
base?
that's true, but. If for
you
a
can't do anything
supercritical
else,
listener, if you can't do anything else, it's going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of wired, real left, right, center speakers, surround speakers.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to give you the best results. But the technology is getting better and better on these soundbars.
Much better. Yes.
And if
there are some options out there for you.
I just like the Game of Thrones when that drum comes in, boom, 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 boom. I like that to rattle the house. Yes,
you need a good subwoofer for that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick.
So, Scott, I've been looking at the SL10 YG, which was about the only one I could find that fulfilled all my needs. Aside from the $400 cost difference over the 8, is there a significant difference between the two?
Well, that's a good question.
The SL10 has Meridian technology.
Well, so does the SL8.
Oh, never mind.
So the SL10 YG is just a bigger one.
It is big. Wow, it's really wide.
Yeah. The SL8 is pretty big too. The SL10 is a 5.1.2.
So it's got two sub.
It already has. No, it already has the rear surrounds,
two surrounds
with
it. The other thing I'm kind of curious about, with the soundbar being the Atmos supplier, that means the up-firing speakers are on the soundbar.
Correct.
And usually you place the soundbar below the TV. Would it behoove you then to place it above the TV?
No. I mean, yes, you could potentially have an effect of the up-firing sound maybe reflecting a little bit off the screen and disrupting the sound a little bit that way, but I don't think it's that big a deal myself. So the SL10, gives you, but it still only gives you 2 up-firing channels, up-firing Atmos channels. And as I said, I prefer 4 up-firing Atmos channels, and I'm going to look up Vizio here, Vizio soundbar. And I'm pretty sure they make one that has at least 4 channels. The 2 surround speakers also have up firing.
Is there any advantage to having the same manufacturers makes a TV making the soundbar?
No.
Okay.
Other than possibly some integration advantage, but really no. Yeah. I would say really no.
And it looks like the difference in the 8, the 9, and the 10 is just how many channels, because the 9 is 412, the 10 is 512. So
right, exactly. And the 8 is 3.1.2, and you can, that's $800, and you can buy the rear surround kit for less than $200. So you're under $1,000, whereas the 10 is $1,300. So you're paying a lot.
Yeah.
And they're probably a little better drivers. And
it's funny. I'm looking at the LG page where they show the SL9 installed, and they have it installed under the TV with the Atmos speakers pointed at you.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
wrong. They should point at that beautiful vaulted ceiling, not at you.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And because your ceiling isn't that vaulted, it would be okay. Doing it at a highly vaulted ceiling, that would not be good.
Yeah, that cracks me up. They have it hanging. I guess it looks better hanging on the wall right under the TV, but it's hanging on the wall sideways, essentially.
Yeah, sideways. Which means that the front speakers, the speakers that are supposed to be
facing down.
Yeah, what?
What? Come on,
that
man.
Doesn't work.
Come on.
Really. Come on.
Later pictures, they have it positioned correctly. But that is just cray-cray.
Yes. Yeah, the Vizios, the top Vizios do have, I've just verified, they have a surround speakers in the, Atmos speakers upfiring in the surrounds. And so I would probably look at that first because I prefer 4 channels of Atmos.
Scott, it's nice to have you stick around. I like to be able to pull Scott out from behind a sign every once in a while. And say, yeah, well, I happen to have the expert right here, as a matter of fact. Thank you for the call, Rick. I appreciate it. Scott, thank you for joining us, as always, and sticking around. And we're going to take a break right now, though. So I shall leave you to your work watching TV. What a job. What a job. And I shall get back to our calls in just a second. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
I now found the Vizio 46-inch 5.1.4 soundbar, which is their top of the line soundbar, for $1,000. So right around the same as the LG. And I would probably look at it before over the LG because it has 4 Atmos channels. And I think 4 Atmos channels is better than 2. Let's see, what do we got here? I'm just taking a look at it. Yeah, it's got these 2 surround speakers, and everything's wireless. The surround speaker, you probably have to put the. I don't know if that fellow is still listening, but if you probably have to put the subwoofer in the back of the room, because the quote unquote wireless surround speakers actually probably connect to the subwoofer with wires. That there's no getting around that probably. So that's what you would need to do, but you don't need to run wires all around the room. It's a 10-inch subwoofer, 46-inch soundbar with a 77-inch C9 would be great. Wow, it goes down to 30 hertz and up to 20 kilohertz. So yeah, I would look at that one. Doesn't seem to have a model number other than Vizio 46-inch 5.1.4. Oh yes, it does. Sorry, SB 46514. I forgot. Vizio uses this model number convention, which is SB soundbar, the number of inches wide that it is, 46, and the channel configuration, 514, 5.1.4. So SB 46514 would be probably my top recommendation for you. And if not, the LG, if you're okay with two Atmos channels, the LG SL8YG or 9 or 10, I would say any of those would be fine. You're in the same ballpark price-wise, so that is the answer to that. I Am Special UK, are LG's nanocell technology panels better than normal LCDs? I would say yes, somewhat. They're kind of odd in that they are sort of quantum dot. They use nanoparticles, but those are not quantum dots. They don't emit light. They actually tune the color spectrum into narrower ranges. So in fact, they reduce the amount of light coming out of the TV. So that's a little strange. I have not spent any significant time with the LG nanocell TVs. I've never been a big fan of LG LCD TVs, big fan of their OLED TVs, but the LCD TVs have never impressed me that much. Nanocell, I'd say, is probably better, but if I were going to go with a nanocell, I'd rather go with a quantum dot, actual quantum dot TV. And backlit, very important for me. Samsung makes a backlit, which performed pretty well in the flat panel shootout. Of the 2 LCD TVs that were there, I liked it better than the Sony, although it does tend to crush blacks. So there is that, but it had really good black levels, really good. Let's see. T1000, what's the better connection, aptX or Bluetooth 5? Well, those are apples and oranges. aptX is what's called a codec, a coder decoder. It encodes it's a lossy codec, compresses the audio, encodes it, and then Bluetooth is the means of conveying it wirelessly. So it's the conduit, essentially, between the source and the receiver, if you will. So they're two different things. Not one, you can't say one is better than the other. Marsworm. I think my subwoofer is haunted. It's on, but no sound was playing, and it started playing, shaking the floor. No other speakers playing, just the sub. I had to go put it in standby mode to stop it. The AVR was on. Sounds like a fault to me. Is it wired? Is it a wired sub? I guess I would assume so with no other information, but it sounds like it's faulty. There's something wrong with it. So let's see. Yes, Mike B, I am in sync this week. I don't know why. Don't just most surround Mike 1 says, don't most surround systems have a way to adjust the digital decoding delay to compensate for a vaulted ceiling? Well, they do have delay, but that's not the problem with vaulted ceilings. The problem with vaulted ceilings is if you send a beam, so to speak, more or less, up to a vaulted ceiling, it's going to get reflected at a improper or non-optimal angle. So it's the angle of reflection that's a problem with vaulted ceilings. There is a bit of a delay issue as well, but that angle of reflection is the bigger problem. Let's see. Tech in San Diego. Any idea what the increase of TVs will cost to consumers if when the tariffs kick in? I don't know, really. Increase in cost, I guess, is what you mean. Certainly TVs that are assembled in China coming to the U.S., they'll have these tariffs. Probably already do. I haven't done any research on that specifically, but I did talk to a friend of mine in New York who works for a company that sells lamps, and she said that most of their products are made in China. And they have big clients, Walmart, Walmart, Target. And so they've sort of agreed between the manufacturer in China and the company that my friend works for and Walmart have all agreed to sort of absorb the cost of the tariffs. Now, how long, which means they're all making less money, which I'm sure they're not happy about. And I imagine the same thing is true of TVs. That they're trying not to raise the prices to consumers because they know that will affect their sales. But if they absorb those costs, then they're affecting their bottom line. So it's a real tricky situation. Let's see here. Thank you, Loquacious. Beatmaster Apdex or Apdex HD. I'm pretty sure it's just Apdex on the one more stylish. Apdex HD is undoubtedly better. I don't have any experience with it, so I'm not quite sure how much better it is. Probably better. Let's see here now. Got 50 seconds left. User 9614 just walked in the room when I mentioned one more stylish. Will you please mention the website where you reviewed them? Certainly. It's not up yet, but it will be soon, next week, I assume. It's Macworld, macworld.com.
Well, hey. Sounds like somebody tickled me, didn't it? hey, how are you? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. I really would love to find somebody who has experience with a printer, Bluetooth printer. I think we've got, actually, let's find out. I don't know. Rachel is on the line, on line 4, and she says she might have an answer. Hi, Rachel.
Hey, Leo. How are you?
I am well, from Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah. We've talked several times.
Oh, well, it's nice to talk to you again.
And I got really excited because I thought I had an idea for you. In the midst of my computer battery going dead, taking the dog out, and my 4-year-old saying that, hey, I sent a message via Siri on your cell phone.
Ah! Oh, no.
with voiceover nonetheless.
Oh, my goodness. I can't wait to see what she sent. What did she send? Did you find out?
I didn't see anything. I'm going to have to go look. I didn't see anything immediately because it asked me for my passcode. So
I asked the lady to send a message. Yeah, I think without the passcode, you're.
Well, she said, well, she could use Siri to do it. She said, I sent Nana a message, but I said, well, Nana's not Nana in my contacts, so I don't think it works.
That just shows you 4 years old. That just shows you how kids today are completely digitally comfortable. I mean, they don't. Oh, yeah, I use Siri. Yeah, I sent her a message. Can you imagine when you were a little kid doing that?
She knows when she grabs my phone or grabs the iPad, turn voiceover off. She knows how to do it.
Oh, my goodness. That's wonderful.
Hang on, baby girl. I'll be back in a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead. What's your solution for
Thank you. You're good. Hang on 1 second, sweetheart. Okay. Anyway, well, we'll multitask again here.
So that's interesting. So she doesn't use you use voiceover because you have low vision or you're blind.
Yeah, I'm blind, and she is totally sighted.
And she's sighted, but she's comfortable enough to. Does she? So she doesn't use voiceover.
No, she doesn't. She's totally sighted.
So
she has to help me.
Turns it off.
She'll say, "Yeah."
That's so cool. That's so. Yep. That's what. Wow.
She has to look at the screen for me on occasion with something's not working, like on her apps, especially, because they're not voiceover friendly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well.
Tell Mama what's that? What's that button?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's so
pretty much.
Cute.
So
that's
she learns really quick.
Yeah, I bet. By the way, Dr. Mom, who is a grandma, says, why don't you have Nana in your contacts?
Nana's in my contacts, but she's not Nana to me.
Of course not. She's Mom to me. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun with you, Rachel. I want to get the answer. I'm so sorry.
Well, I hope I have the answer for you.
Yes.
It's kind of half-baked, but something you can look at. And I tried to look at this because I actually used to print via Bluetooth. Now, what it was... Now, this is old technology. I'm an old technology geek from a long time. And it was the old thing I had was a serial or parallel to Bluetooth converter.
Okay.
So what you would do is you would hook you would have the device printing via Bluetooth, and then...
I see what you're saying. So you'd get an adapter for the printer port. On the printer and the computer? No, because the computer already had Bluetooth.
No, just the printer.
Just the printer. So in other words, if you got a Bluetooth adapter, now today it wouldn't be serial, it would be USB.
Right, exactly. That's what I was looking for as I was trying to do all this other stuff at the same time.
So that's called a print server, and you can get big print servers, but you can also get little print servers. And I wonder if there are Bluetooth print servers. That would be exactly what you're talking about.
What I have, in fact, I still have it. It's a little small device that just hooks into, because there's a lot of Braille embossers that only use parallel or serial. And so I could hook that up, and it would, the device would print via Bluetooth essentially to that adapter.
Perfect. So
I don't know.
They still make these. In fact, HP makes something, the BT500, which is a network adapter using Bluetooth 2.0. In fact, there are a number of companies that make these. They're tiny. They'd plug into the USB port of any printer, and the printer thinks it's on a network, or maybe just thinks it's printing via USB, but it's not. It's printing via Bluetooth.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Print wirelessly from a Bluetooth-enabled device, the HP BT500, and it's not, I don't think it's too expensive. It's just a little, basically.
The one I had was about $40.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a really interesting guy. That's such a good idea. I think that's perfect. So I hope he was listening and he heard what you're saying, Rachel. Thank you.
I cannot believe I told you something that you hadn't seen before. You're like Mr. Technology.
It's a massive gap in my knowledge. But see, this is why gaps in my knowledge don't last very long, because we have so much. That's what this show is great for. I have so many listeners, and they're so smart, and they If there's something I don't know, they will tell me.
You'll have to look in your email, too. I sent you something a while back. You might not have seen.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. I remember I asked you to send me your information.
Yeah.
So if we get a caller that needs help with assistive technologies, you could help steer them.
Absolutely. And I had some other ideas for you as well. So.
I will look in my email because I got a note from you from Kim gave me a note, but so I have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're my address book. Now I think I'll call you Nana. And that way, if any 4-year-olds come along, you'll understand why you're getting that message.
Do you want to say hi to Leo Delaney?
Hi, Delaney. Hey, Delaney, say hi.
He's being shy now.
Yeah, she's shy. I understand. Hey, great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your help, Rachel. And as always, great to hear from you. That's so sweet. That is so sweet. Before we go on, I want to talk about our sponsor for the show today, the great folks at Digitalocean. Oh man, what a change this has wrought to people who are doing startups or people who want. For me, as somebody who's learning technologies like Node and how to create a web server and all of that stuff, DigitalOcean's an amazing thing. I love DigitalOcean. Easily run production applications with DigitalOcean. How to describe it? I can describe maybe by an analogy to the old days. Because in the old days, when I wanted to, for instance, if I wanted to play with Node.js, I could either set up a server in my house, which means it wouldn't be publicly available, or more likely, I'd go to a server company and I'd say, I'd like to buy a server. Can you provision it with this, this, and this? They'd say, okay, we'll be back to you in 4 days. And then 4 days later, it's provisioned. Then you're paying a lot of money. That server is yours, but you got to install stuff on it. It's expensive. If it breaks, you have to call them up, and it takes another day to get it fixed. DigitalOcean has put all of this on its ear. With DigitalOcean, you can provision a server in 55 seconds. I should really log in and show you because it's the coolest thing ever. During this read, I could actually provision a Node.js server or a Docker server. They've got Kubernetes to orchestrate. I could do a LAMP stack, GitLab. You know, why not have your own Git? If you've got a team, set it up on DigitalOcean. Building with Jenkins. They've got, of course, cPanel and Plesk. You could just do WordPress. It's great for anybody who wants to learn web technologies, and it's really great for anybody who has an idea and wants to set up a minimum viable product or a startup. Because one of the things that's great about DigitalOcean is you can start with a simple machine. It costs $5 a month, 0.7 cents an hour, a minute. You know, it's a very inexpensive machine. That's what I always set up. But if as it's suddenly you're a hit, you can scale it up. They've got CPU optimized configurations, enterprise-grade SSDs, all the features you'd want, cloud firewalls, monitoring and alerts, team accounts, full DNS management, and really good DNS management, 4 nines uptime SLA. They've got data centers all over the world, 12 global data centers, and 365 a day, 24 hours a day, world-class support, 365 days a year. They're always there. It is a great product. I am a huge DO fan. It's simple to launch in the cloud, scale as you grow. You can run one virtual machine or 10,000. They have, variety of different operating systems, a variety of different containers and orchestration apps. But even better, and I really like this, they've got kind of a one-button install marketplace for anything you can think of. Plus, over 2,000 tutorials. So many people use DO to do this that there's tutorials on setting up anything you want. If you're using a tablet and you want to have Emacs and Python running or Lisp or whatever, you can do it. It's easy. This, to me, is the greatest thing. And what's easy to do is spin up and destroy droplets. That's what they call these little servers, like this. So if 1 week I'm playing with, Python on a LAMP stack, easy peasy. If I'm done with it, I destroy it. Costs me nothing. DigitalOcean's an amazing, amazing modern way to empower the new technical ecosystem. DO, trusted by over 1 million developers. We got a pretty good deal for you, too. $50 in credits, free when you go to do.co/twit. That'll get you well started. do.co/twit for a free $50 credit. DigitalOcean's designed for developers, built for businesses, and I love it. do.co/twit. Get started with that $50 credit today. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Phil in Arvado, Colorado. Hello, Phil.
Hello, Leo. Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Well, I was reading a column from CNET, and I'm not sure how much, if any, faith you have in CNET. I don't think I've ever heard you say anything about them. But they are pushing a device now called a Wi-Fi blast range extender, which supposedly solves the problem of ISP bandwidth throttling.
No. Okay, so first
really
of all,
something.
No. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm looking for this. What is the Wi-Fi blast range extender? You said?
Yes, sir. It sounds kind of twitchy.
Yeah, sure does. So one of the things, I don't have anything against CNET, but one of the things I'm not crazy about, and I don't know if CNET's doing this, but a lot of blogs are starting to do this now, which is essentially paid placement. And when you see claims like that on something, I got to wonder if that's really an ad disguised as content.
I see.
So I'm looking for this review on CNET, and I don't see it.
Okay. But is there such a thing as ISP bandwidth throttling? Does that really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But they don't do it at your router. They do it at the home office. So it doesn't really matter what you do in your house. If they're going to, that's why I have to find it and read what they're claiming. But that's hinky. There's nothing you could do in your house to fool the ISP into thinking you're sipping less. Maybe what they're saying is that the router hides what you're doing, but it can't, because as soon as it goes out in the real world through the ISP, they see exactly what you're doing. So I have no idea what they're talking about here. So this is a larger question about bandwidth throttling. You've heard the term net neutrality.
Yes.
And that's what this goes to. So there's a couple of things internet service providers do routinely, some of which are within their province, some of which I think are problematic. So one of the things that almost all ISPs now do is have bandwidth caps. That's not what throttling is. But bandwidth cap means at the end of the month, I have I think 2.5 terabyte, or is it gigabyte? I can't remember. I have a terabyte bandwidth cap from my Comcast. And at the end of the month, if I exceed that, I think it's 2 terabytes. If I exceed that, which I do easily, if you watch Netflix, it's not hard, they charge me more.
Right.
Or they'll slow me down. And that's pretty common. I don't like bandwidth caps, but that's certainly within their province. They're saying, well, essentially what they're saying is when you buy internet from us, you're buying this much. And if you want a month, and if you want more, you're going to. So that's like saying, when I bought a bushel of apples and all I get is a bushel of apples. Bandwidth throttling is sneaky and I think inappropriate. So here's a couple of ways ISPs throttle bandwidth. By the way, the net neutrality rules that the FCC promulgated a couple of years ago made this illegal. But as soon as Ajit Pai became chairman of the FCC, he overturned those. He threw them out. There's been some talk at Congress bringing it back. But this is why I think net neutrality is really important. Let's say you're an ISP, say, I don't know, Comcast, that offers television, or Verizon that offers phones. It might be in your interest to make other things like Netflix or Skype not work as well on your network because you want people to buy your product, not a competing product. So in that case, and this has happened, you'll throttle. Let's say you're an ISP that has a television, you're a cable company, you have a television arm. You'll throttle Netflix and Amazon Prime and YouTube so that it doesn't look so good. And then you'll say, but, our service, doesn't that look great? The other way they sometimes can do this is to choose winners. T-Mobile does this. They say, well, we won't charge you bandwidth costs for Apple Music or Pandora or whatever it is. And now a customer says, well, that's good. That means I can stream it unlimited. But what it really does is pick winners on the internet. Because what if you're Joe's music service and you'd like to compete, but it costs users money to use you? That's bandwidth throttling. And there's two different things companies do that I think is sketchy. There are no rules against it anymore. Companies say, well, we don't do that. We won't do that. We'd never do that. But they've done it in the past. It's typically done with special hardware at the ISP's end. There's a product called Sandvine that a lot of companies used to throttle BitTorrent. Remember when BitTorrent was a way of...
Oh, yeah.
It was often used for piracy, but it happened to also be used to download my podcasts in the early days because I couldn't afford bandwidth, and Linux distributions and other completely legitimate uses. These companies didn't want BitTorrent to be used on their network, so they'd use this Sandvine box. When it saw BitTorrent traffic, it would just slow it to a crawl. So that's bandwidth throttling. I see no way around that in the home.
Okay. Do you have time for one quick follow-up question?
Sure.
Power line adapters, are they worth the cost, and are they worth anything at all?
Yes. In the early days of power line, so the whole idea of power line is I don't have Ethernet, cable network wiring throughout my house.
Right.
I do happen to have wiring in my house. It's called the plugs.
Right.
Yeah. So the idea is, well, could I still use these for power, but on top of it put data? And in the early days, that was not very effective. But Powerline has gotten much better. The latest Powerline networking stuff is actually very good. I would get it from TP-Link, is one of the companies I like. I've used. The way it would work is your router with your data is in the living room. You plug a TP-Link device into the wall and an Ethernet cable from the router into that TP-Link device. Then across the house, in the bedroom, you plug in the other end of that TP-Link device into the plug. This is plugging into the power. And it's now either a Wi-Fi access point of its very own, so it's right next to you, or you can, in some cases, plug an Ethernet cable into that. Now you've basically got hardwired networking from the router to your bedroom. And yeah, it works well. Not as well as an Ethernet cable would, but pretty darn well. And I think they're very affordable. And I think they work quite well. I used the TP-Links for a long time, and I was very happy with those.
Okay. Well, thank you, Leo. You are the best, as always.
My pleasure. Well, I'm glad you asked. And I think it's an important and somewhat reprehensible development that tech blogs, they usually will in some way. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, requires that they in some way indicate that what you're reading is not in fact editorial content, independent, trustworthy content, but in fact an ad, a paid-for ad. But the whole reason that companies pay for these, by the way, this is something I never do, will never do, I promise you. The whole reason the company wants it to look like editorial is so you'll trust it. Well, CNET says this is a great product, but it's an ad. So look on the page somewhere, and they may, really it's all about tricking you. Sometimes they call this native content. The whole idea is to trick you into thinking it's independent journalism when in fact it's just a paid advertisement. We're always very careful when we do ads. That's how we support ourselves. That's how radio works. That's how podcasts work. But when we do them, we're very careful to say our sponsor and this is an ad. And in theory, the FTC requires that. When you look at an Instagram post and somebody's got a little sport tee in their hand, it should say #ad or #sponsor. My experience has been enforcement is lax, and so people get away with it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, but QoS doesn't get around any throttling. You get a packet of data to your router, and you decide how it's prioritized internally. Yeah, bandwidth shaping by the ISPs. Brett, I know you don't like net neutrality because you want to bandwidth shape your customers, but I can assure you that is something that should be illegal. It isn't, unfortunately, but it is. It should be illegal. He's been everywhere, man. He's breathing the mountain air, man. He's Johnny Jet, who should be in London, man. Our traveling guru. Hello, JJ.
Hello, Leo.
I am so sorry. You were supposed to be in London watching the Yankees-Red Sox game.
I am very sorry. I was just telling you, I have a severe case of FOMO.
Yeah, fear of missing out. See, I think it's a futile attempt by the colonies to get our British brethren interested in a game that's not cricket. I don't understand the point, but okay. Oh, you colonials are so funny with this baseball thing.
Well, this game on TV right now is like cricket. It's so long. The first inning was an hour.
Yeah, you're glad you're not there. You'd be jet lagged. You'd be exhausted. And it's hot. Oh, yeah, they're having a heat wave.
I mean, the other day in France, it set an all-time world record in France. I think it was 111 or 114.
They had to lower the speed on the Autobahn because it was melting.
Wow, I did not hear that one.
It was melting.
I believe it. That's insane. Have you ever driven on the Autobahn, by the way?
No.
I have.
I'm too scared.
It's not that scary because in Europe, especially in Germany and stuff, it's 2 lanes usually.
You stay on the right, and the guy's going fast. They go left. Yes. Yeah.
You're only in the left lane to pass. You cannot stay in the left lane.
I know. I learned that. I was driving in France, and somebody was like mad at me, and I realized it was because I was in the left lane. Because in America, you just drive whatever lane. So in
America, you pass on the right. I mean, I don't think you're supposed to in America, but everyone does.
So this is actually a sensible thing. If you have a 2-lane highway, and there are many in Europe, you stay on the right unless you want to pass somebody.
Exactly.
And then you go back in your lane. You pass and you go back in your lane. I think that's fine.
There would be so many less accidents. And by the way, speaking of the Autobahn, there's not a no speed limit on the whole thing. There's only certain parts. And so anyway, but it's a tremendous experience. But speaking of driving, by the way, I know that you're heading to Europe sometime in the fall, is it?
I can't wait. Is it Europe? It is, I guess, technically. We start in Athens, we end in Dubai. I'm thinking of it as a Middle East trip.
Well, Athens is definitely Europe.
Athens is Europe, but then we leave Athens after a few days.
You're going to Turkey? You're going to Turkey?
No. It's Athens to Israel, to Petra, Jordan, to the pyramids in Egypt, to Oman, and Dubai.
Wow. I've been to Oman. Oman was a great experience.
We're going to Salalah, which is apparently tropical because they get monsoons there. It's the only place in the Middle East where it's not a desert. But I don't know what to do when we get there. So
I have no idea. Salalah,
I'm
ashamed to say I don't even know where it is. That's Oman?
It's in Oman.
Okay.
Oman's not that big. Of course, all this is up in the air. If we end up getting in a shooting war with Iran, I guess we won't be going.
Right. Well, because it's only a 2-hour boat ride across the way.
I know, you're right there.
When I went to the Six Senses Ziggy Bay, which is a 2-hour drive from Dubai.
Fun.
And to get into the hotel, by the way, you have an option: either drive down this long, curvy hill, or take a hang glider in.
How do you get out? Wait, if you take a hang glider in, how do you get out?
They take you to the top, and there's someone there waiting with you, and you are tandem, and you go down in a hang glider, and then hand you a champagne.
But you don't land.
You land at the hotel.
Okay, you land at the hotel, but then how do you get out of the hotel? You can't hang glide out.
They pick you up.
Oh, then they come get you. Okay. Yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah, and when I did it, I was nervous to do it, but unfortunately the weather was really bad, so I didn't have to do it. But but speaking of Europe, I have an app for you.
Yes.
So actually, I was planning on trying it this morning or yesterday. So, when I travel around Europe, I usually take Black Lane. Full disclosure, I'm one of their ambassadors. But you have to plan at least an hour ahead with Black Lane cars. So, other times I'll take an Uber or a Lyft. Actually, Lyft you don't have in Europe. But
they don't have Lyft in Europe?
I don't think so.
Only Uber, huh?
I don't think I've ever taken a Lyft in Europe. There might be. I'm not 100%. But, getting a local taxi is not always easy. But there's an app called My Taxi app. It's available in 9 countries, 100 European cities. 45,000 taxis are registered with it. And one of the cities is London. And it's a free app both on Android and iOS. And it works a lot like Uber. And, this way, obviously not in the UK, you're not going to have a language problem, but in some cities or countries, there might be a language problem. But with this app, this will bypass it because, it's just like Uber. You just put in, where to be picked up and where to get dropped off, and it will take care of itself. And then you also pay via the app, so you don't have to worry about getting suckered. I mean, that's one of the things, by the way, when you're in Greece, Turkey, anywhere in the world, but especially like in Turkey, I think I've had the problem before where if you pay in local currency and you give them, I don't remember what the bill is, if it's a $50 bill or whatever, they'll give you back. They'll say you didn't give it to them, or they'll do a quick switcheroo.
Oh, you only gave me a $5.
Yes. So whenever you can pay via an app, you'll definitely not have to worry about getting, ripped off. So
yeah.
I recommend that in terms of that. And also, you can always keep track of the drivers, make sure they're going the right way and not taking you the long way. That's another thing you have to worry about when you're traveling.
My Taxi, and it's iOS or Android. Although it looks like you can even order a taxi from the website. So
yes, I believe you can.
If you neglected to get the app on your phone first, nice.
Right. So
it's interesting. Every town now seems to have like you go to New York, they have 3 or 4 taxi apps, which is weird. But I guess that's just their way of trying to compete with Uber and Lyft.
Yeah. They're losing so much business because who wants to deal with either trying to flag down a taxi?
Is the main benefit of Uber that it has the app, or is it that, people have taxis sometimes are beat up and stinky and.
Yeah, and also you have to rate the Ubers. So
right,
I
rating
find that
system,
drivers are better because taxi drivers don't care. Here in LA, when I would land at LAX and I would go tell them where I was going to Manhattan Beach, they would flip out, taxi drivers, and I don't really blame them. They're sitting in these long taxi
But
queues
Uber drivers know ahead of time where you're going.
Yeah, and
so
with Uber,
they don't have to accept it. Right.
Yeah, and one tip, by the way, with LAX and Uber or Lyft is when you land, sometimes it will say 16 minutes to before they pick you up. But if you cancel right away and redo it, you might get someone who's dropping off a passenger because they have now allowed that, and that really saves you. That will be within 1 minute.
I'm a man of the people, though. If there's a cab, if I'm at an airport and there's a cab stand, I usually try to take the cab.
I don't. Except maybe at LaGuardia.
Because you're not a man of the people.
No, I am a man of people. I'm the man of convenience, and also
I'm the man of me
people. I like to have more leg
room.
room.
Me people. I'm people too.
And I don't carry cash a lot of times.
Yeah. No, Uber and Lyft are very, very convenient. Are the drivers paid as well as a taxi driver, or better? Maybe they're using their own car.
Uber, the fares are so low, especially in LA.
Yeah, they're subsidized. Yeah.
I always, right when I walk into the car, because I'm going a short distance, I just hand them a $5 bill. And they're like, wow, thank you. Because otherwise they're pissed off because
I always tip. Yeah.
And I'll tip in cash sometimes for that.
I always tip in cash.
Yeah.
Because cash is king.
Yeah, so actually when I travel, a lot of times I bring $2 bills with me or $5 bills or singles. And that's the only cash I carry on me, really. It's just a big wad of tip money.
Big wad. Johnny, the big wad of tip money jet, ladies and gentlemen. You can read more about his travel tips. It's actually a great website with a travel newsletter that's free, all sorts of information. JohnnyJet.com. You should also follow him on Twitter. And Twitter's now made lists easier to see if you have the new Twitter on the website. So that's good because Johnny has the best collection of travel lists I've ever seen. So
thank you. And Instagram.
And Instagram, of course, for his pictures of him not watching the Red Sox-Yankees game in London. Thank you, Johnny. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls coming up. Yeah, Uber now has a button you can say, I don't want to talk. I love that.
Yeah, I haven't used that one. I like to talk. That's where I find most of my local information.
Right. But cabbies are the best at talking, right? Those are the guys that know the local information.
I don't know. Some cabbies like in New York or in Vegas, they all get wined and dined by some of these
they're
hotels and restaurants
because they tell
people
content. They're pushing their.
Right. It's almost like certain concierges.
But I don't mind that. I always take a cab because I want
honest information or good information.
Right. If you're going if you ask a cabbie what strip club to go to, he's getting a little something. Little 20 for everybody he drops off. But if you're just I'll ask the cabbie, is it always this hot? And it says, always this hot. This is nothing. That I trust. That I trust. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Corey on the line from Murrieta, Georgia. I'm sorry, Murrieta, California. Hi, Corey.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I am great. How are you? Nice to talk to you.
Real fine. Hey, I have a question for you regarding mesh Wi-Fi systems, and I got kind of a problem in that. Went out and bought an Orbi system a long time ago and installed it, and it was working really good, and I was getting like 350 megabytes a second download.
Yeah, isn't that Orbis are known for that? They're really a good system, I think.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was fine, but then after a period of time, it literally slowed down into like 10 megabyte per second type speed. So
that's not good.
Crazy. So I thought, well, it must be something wrong with the Orbi. So I go out and I buy a Linksys Velop. And I installed the Velop system. Wow, it's fast. It's working good. And no problems, no issues. After a period of time, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it starts to slow down, and it slows back down to like 9 or 10. And I decided there's a problem with that one as well. So I go back and buy the Orbi again, and it's all working fast again. And then it just started slowing down.
You spent more money on mesh routers than I have, and I thought I'd spent a lot.
It's ugly. I could send you an ugly picture with a lot of boxes.
Yeah, no, so this is clearly an issue unrelated to the router, if you ask me. I mean, if both the Linksys and the Netgear did it, in fact, two different Netgears have done it, I'm wondering, is it a cable provider? Must be at that speed.
Yeah, I'm using Spectrum, and the interesting thing is if I use either the Linksys Velop app or the Netgear Orbi app to do the speed test, it shows me that the speeds coming into the house are like in the neighborhood of 350 to 450,
all right.
400 to 450 into the house. So I'm surmising that I have something
it's
that's
a Wi-Fi issue.
Internally.
It might be a Wi-Fi issue, or it could be the router. I can't think of anything that would make a series of 3 different routers fail that fast. Is it really hot in your house, or?
No, it's pretty cool environment. It's just one of those things. It's got me stumped. I've dumped a lot of money in this thing, and when I call the company, they check the line to the house, and they say, "Oh no, you're getting what you're paying for." I use Spectrum. And
well, you are, because the bandwidth test on the router says you are. So
yeah,
that's what that is the hardwired speed, obviously. In fact, one way to test this would be to take a laptop with an Ethernet jack, getting few and far between. But if you happen to have someone somewhere around there, and plug it into the Orbi or the Velop and see if the speed is full speed, because then we know, okay, maybe it isn't the router. Maybe there's interference in your house or something going on in your house. So that's the first thing I'd want to do. The router's saying, I'm getting 350 megabits from the ISP. That's good. It's connected via an Ethernet jack to the Spectrum modem. Okay, but that's good. That means it's not the modem. It's not Spectrum. The next thing to do is to plug. Do you have a laptop with an Ethernet jack or an Ethernet dongle that you can plug into that, or a desktop?
Yeah, I do have a laptop I could try that with. So
I would plug it into the router and see what kind of speed you're getting from the router. And if that is at full speed, that's not throttled down, then it's the Wi-Fi. And you might be in a particularly hostile Wi-Fi environment for some reason. Those things.
That's what I'm beginning to think.
Yeah, those things do happen. Neighbors. It's weird though that it works fine for a while and then it slows down. I'm not sure. Does it ever come back after it slows down?
No, it hasn't.
It never comes back. It's
450 megabytes down until last evening, and last night it went down to like 8, and it's been 8 ever since. And I've rebooted it. I've recycled everything.
8's really unusable. You can't watch HD video. You can't. And what are you using for a speed test?
I'm using speedtest.net.
Okay. Try other ones just to make sure. Get a second opinion. Speed.
Yeah, I've tried a couple others too,
Okay.
and that's the same thing. They show a difference in the speed.
I always do. I like speed test, but I always use fast.com. That's Netflix connecting direct to Netflix server just to see what your Netflix speed would be. Broadband Reports has a really good test at broadbandreports.com. That's nice because it doesn't use Flash or Java, it's just HTML5. And then there's one, I think it's called speedof.me, which I just like because of the name. That's also an HTML5 test. Speed tests, may vary, but if they're all showing, a severe degradation on Wi-Fi, I really would like you to try it wired, just to make sure that it's not internal to the router. But if it isn't, then the next step is to get a Wi-Fi testing program. Do you have an Android device?
No, all iOS.
Okay. iOS, you can't test your Wi-Fi because iOS, Apple doesn't give third-party apps access to the Wi-Fi radio. But on Windows, you can. There's a really good Wi-Fi tester. It's not free, called Insider, INSSIDER. And it will let you wander around the house looking at the signal. If you've got a hostile Wi-Fi environment, a lot of IT guys and gals will use this because businesses are the ultimate in hostile environments. You've got a lot of users. It's spread out. There's metal in the walls and stuff. So they will make a map of the Wi-Fi by wandering around with a laptop, or if you have an Android phone, an Android device, and mapping out the Wi-Fi signals. I have a really nice little program, Android program, that it really is cool because it'll do a heat map of the Wi-Fi signals, and you can really see. It's called Wi-Fi heat map. But if you only have a Windows machine or a Mac, then use Insider, and you can wander around and see the signal, and you can see if it's dropping. You can see other people's, like if your neighbor's signal is impinging. It may be that your Wi-Fi, that the router is choosing for mistakenly. Routers choose different bands in the on Wi-Fi in America in the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. We've got 3 bands. There's 11 channels, but really 3 bands, and they could be choosing a band by accident that's highly congested. So you can help that out. You're not using you're turning off NAT. If the spectrum has a router in it, which I suspect it does, turn that router's NAT off. I presume you're doing that, right?
Well, I have a separate cable modem and a separate router, and I'm pretty sure it's off.
Yeah, the cable modem. Well, wait a minute. You have a Spectrum router too?
Now I've got a surfboard modem with a Orbi router.
Yeah. The surfboard should be going directly into the Orbi or the Velop. So that's fine. The surfboard doesn't do routing. So that's exactly what you want. In fact, that's exactly the setup I have at home.
But yours works.
But mine works. I've never heard of this kind of weird. It works for a while and then stops. I think probably Insider's the best bet, which is to really kind of look at. Insider has a lot of information. The MetaGeek website, which is that's the company, has a lot of information on Wi-Fi in there that will help you understand. There's a whole chapter on signal strength and how to understand it. And if you read that and then use Insider, I think that's going to be your best bet.
Well, that sounds like some pretty good information. It's just been so frustrating.
Oh, I don't blame you. That's crazy.
And I'm telling you to believe, after all this money I've spent and all this equipment, that it might be just a real negative, hostile environment. That it sounds like if I had something that I could go through and actually look at the field,
exactly,
and see where the problem is.
You will see what channels you're on, what channels your neighbors are on. If your neighbor is suddenly stronger, are you near other people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is Wi-Fi. This is why mesh is great. Wi-Fi has become hostile. I mean, nobody has good Wi-Fi anymore. So that's a big problem. And we're going to take a break. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Irvine, Rob, you can either use a service like Scan Cafe. I've used them before. Actually, what we did with our slides, we used a local service in Rhode Island. My sister brought all the slides over, and they did a great job. They cleaned them up and everything. Or you can buy a scanner if you've got a little more time and you want a little more control. For prints, I highly recommend the Fast Photo Scanner from Epson. They're our sponsor. They're really good. That thing could fast, and it has a great sheet feeder, so it's really easy to just put a stack of photos in at a time. If you've got slides, hand scanning slides is hard because you have to put them in a mount and put them in the scanner, or buy an expensive dedicated slide scanner. Well, Fast Photo does the organization. They have a tool, but you want photo albums and stuff. You know what? One thing I'd really consider is using an online service like Google Photos or Shutterfly and organizing it there, especially if you're going to share it with other family members. The Ethical Hacker Certificate, the CEH, is available from our sponsor, IT Pro TV, at itpro.tv. The CEH is a cert, and so for IT people or somebody just wants a certification that says you're a certified ethical hacker. You use this Fast Photo, Steve? Yeah, it's pretty cool. And Shortwave does too. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones. We got your smartwatches. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number. If you want to call and talk high tech, I'd love to do it with you. 8888 Ask Leo. Another hour to go on the Tech Guy Show. Line 3 is Rich in Tucson, Arizona. Hey, Rich.
Hey, Leo. Let me get you off my speakerphone here.
All right.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What's up?
I can't say that I've been listening to you since the early screensaver days, but I have gotten in a good 600 or 800 episodes. So anyway.
That qualifies. We don't have any requirement, as you understand. If you just listen, if you're the first time you ever listened, I love that and I welcome it.
Well, you've saved me a bunch of money over the few times I've spoken with you. This time it's not so much a matter of saving money. It's just best practices.
Okay.
I'm an audiobook narrator, and so I record big files, WAV files, and so they're really big. About 6 months ago, I got one of the new Mac Minis with a 250 gig hard drive, and that's working well. And I've also got a 2 terabyte Seagate external. So somebody was asking, another narrator was asking recently for recommendations for a computer, and a couple of people commented, basically, regardless of what you get, make sure that you record to an external hard drive instead of the internal hard drive of whatever it is that you buy. And
why?
I wanted to talk to you and see if that's true.
Why? Did they say why?
The reasons that they were giving made me think of when you talk about bit rot, and they were basically talking about the way that the data is written to an SSD over time, the more that you write.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm glad I called.
Yeah. That sounds like a little voodoo to me. So, first of all, job one is you make a backup immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important.
So actually, that's what I'm using the external drive for is backup, and then I've got cloud backup that includes the external drive.
So assuming that you're making a backup, then the reliability of the internal drive is not an issue. It sounds like then what they're saying is as you're recording, you're streaming data to that drive, and maybe the drive for some reason is not going to record it exactly accurately.
It didn't sound. It sounded like it was more what they were warning against was doing something that was going to make your internal hard drive fail sooner.
No, it was. So all internal all SSDs, internal or external, have controllers on them that do something called wear leveling. In theory, there's an old, the old days of SSDs. I remember my friend Mark Thompson. With the earliest SSDs, solid state drives. These are flash memory drives, much like the flash memory in your camera or your smartphone. In the earliest days of SSDs, he put a Windows swap file on an SSD and burned it out real quick. But that was not a well-designed SSD. Modern solid state drives do something called wear leveling to protect the cells. It is the case that flash memory, the cell has a limited number of times you can write to it. But you don't ever have to worry about that with a modern SSD, internal or external. And I don't know why internal would be any different than external, because the controller is going to automatically do wear leveling, which is rotate the cells in such a way to make it evenly wear throughout the drive. There are so many cells that it isn't a concern. In fact, my experience, we didn't know initially, but there was some concern maybe SSDs wouldn't last as long as spinning hard drives. That, I think everybody agrees, everybody understands now that we've had good quality SSDs for many years, that is not the case. SSDs are at least as reliable as hard drives, probably more so. And I there's error correction built into these. So if you record, I guess their theory is, well, you're sending a lot of data in a stream to the SSD. If one packet drops, there's going to be a hiccup in your recording. Well, yeah, but they have error correction, so it's not likely that that's going to happen.
Okay, so it should be fine to record to the internal drive, to an external drive, whatever you want.
The main thing is the internal drive is exactly the same as the external drive, especially if you're using a Thunderbolt drive on your Mac Mini.
That's what it is.
That's DMA, direct memory access to that drive. It's just like you're writing to the internal drive. It's just like PCI Express. It's no different. So I don't even see there's not even a technical difference between the two. And that's one of the things that's cool about having Thunderbolt 3 ports on your Mac Mini. You can boot from an external drive. It won't be any slower than your internal drive. Might even be faster. So there, the only issue would be, and maybe if you were really concerned, sometimes modern cameras will have, if you're a wedding photographer, 2 cards in the camera, and if you're a nervous wedding photographer, you might have each image written to both cards in case one failed. If that were the case, maybe you're saying, well, I'm recording. Do you record? You don't record for hours at a time, do you?
It can be. Typically, it's more like half an hour to an hour.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's stop and go. I mean, you have to. When you're recording like that, there's lots and lots of breaks.
So you aren't recording solid in that time.
No, absolutely not. So I'm thinking of a session as opposed to.
No, I'm talking about the actual file. Yeah. But you don't start a new file. You pause it, back it up, start over. But you don't start a new file each time.
No.
Okay. No. Yeah, I can't think of any reason if you're using. What software are you using?
I use Studio One and Twisted Wave.
Yeah, I love Twisted Wave.
That's a great, simple product that can actually do a lot.
Yeah. You don't need much, to be honest. You're recording your voice.
The reason that I use Studio One is because it's got punch and roll capability. And now
that's nice.
Wave does too, but it's destructive. And so I'm still using Studio One.
So that's if you make a mistake in a sentence, you go back, punch it, and start over and punch it in.
Yeah. And it's, there's a few seconds of pre-roll so that you can kind of get back in the groove.
That's nice. It saves you editing time, in other words.
It does, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a huge time saver for some people. Depending on how fast you are at editing, it's a slight time saver for other people. But that all depends on how comfortable you are with the software.
I don't know about Twisted Wave, but Studio One is a professional grade program. It's going to absolutely have stuff in it that makes sure it's not recording errors, that you're going to have a good recording. And I would even look and see if you could record to 2 files at once, because that, like the wedding photographer, that might be another way to do it. Or at least back up the minute you're done, the minute that file closes.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why, I can't think of any reason why recording to an internal drive would be any less reliable than recording to an external drive.
Okay. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this wasn't to save money. It was just to make sure I was doing things the best way possible. So,
if this is your profession, you don't, spending a little money to get it done right is important.
Yeah, exactly.
How long does it take you to read How long does it take you to read a book?
Well, so it depends on how many of the different jobs that you're doing. But if you're just doing the narrating, usually it takes about 2 to 3 times the total finished length of the book.
Right. So an 8-hour book could take
10-hour book.
Yeah, 30 hours of recording.
It'll take you 20 or 30 hours to narrate it. It all depends on how many times you have to stop and what you have to stop for, and stuff like that.
I only did this once. I was down in the Audible studios in Newark, and they had me record a little thing, and the biggest problem I had is I'd speed up, and they'd say, slow down.
That's a very common problem. That's most coaches, I think, they say that's the first thing that you have to do is slow down.
The producer kept saying, slow down.
Yep.
Yeah. I would love to do that when I retire.
Well, I know we've talked before, and you said that when you retire, that's what you're going to do is start narrating audiobooks.
Yeah, that's one of the many things I'm going to do. I'm also going to start a chicken farm, but it's a long list. Hey, really nice to talk to you, Rich. Thanks for asking.
Thanks, Leo.
I'm glad to actually sell the notion that it is time to move to SSDs. There's no reason now, unless you need massive storage, not to use a solid-state drive. They're so much faster. They're just as reliable. And the price is now not much more than an HD. That's really good news. Yeah, and honestly, I don't know how Studio One records, but I would imagine most recorders record to RAM, not directly to the drive. They record to RAM, and then they write it out in chunks to the drive. And ideally, would do some error checking on that too. So I think you're probably you're fine. I can't think of any reason why an internal drive versus an external drive would matter. Maybe if you're using RAID on an external drive, so you've got I don't know. I can't think of any reason that would be a problem. I know what I have to do. I have to check to see if there's any, because there's a Harry Potter event going on right now. I've been neglecting it. Holy cow. Let me see here. There's probably all sorts of. You haven't played this yet, but you are a Harry Potter fan, big time. Okay, you're gonna like this because see, I'm a wizard. I'm in our. This is an actual map of the area, so that's our studio right there. Around town, there's various things. There's a greenhouse. That's the greenhouse. There's an inn. I'm too far away to reach them. That is the restaurant behind us. If I were close enough, I could go there, and you can get spell juice, spell casting juice. There's stuff lying around, like there's a little bit of honey water. These are ingredients that you will use to create potions. And then these are these little things around here. These are what they call foundables. They are wizarding items that have been stolen and trapped inside a co-foundable. This shows how hard it is going to be to release it. I have to cast a spell, a Defendo spell, to release this flobber worm from the bubble it's floating in. So they've incorporated a lot of the stuff from the books into it. All the spells are from the books or movies. It's Warner Brothers, so the movies are, of course. I saved the flobber worm. So now it's going to go back, and it says, flobber worm is returned to the apothecary. So I get some points, I get some experience points, I get some credits. So that's one of the things you do. Here, this is, there's a Slytherin snake, so this is going to be, oh, this hag is scary. She is trapped in ice, and she's pretty tough. I might want to use a potion. So let's see, I've manufactured some of these potions. This is what's called an Extimulo potion. It will give me some additional power for 3 casts. So I'm going to use that. Now, this spell is Aloha Mora, I think. I didn't do it very well. You're graded, or Incendio. Oh, yeah, to melt the ice, of course. So you're graded. Oh, and she ran away. Damn it. I was going to show you how scary she was. So you're graded on the speed you cast the spell on and the accuracy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Andy in North Hollywood, California. Hi, Andy.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I have an issue with, I think, an older Airport Express unit, and it's at least a 2012, I think. And I currently have Spectrum, but the router that they have does not have the wireless option. It's just the router.
Okay.
And so what happened, and it's relatively new, this particular router, and so with the Express, it'll have a green light, solid green light.
Yeah, that means I'm getting the internet from that router over there.
Right. And I have 2 computers and a phone. So the one computer is always hardwired in, and so it will never have an issue. But the wireless, the MacBook Air is not hardwired in. So, and my Amazon and Apple TV are not hardwired in.
Right.
So every day, once a day, it doesn't really matter when, it'll just flash orange for no reason.
Yeah. And you have to reboot it, right? That's how you get it back? Yeah.
But no, I have to reboot the modem.
Oh, the modem.
The router, rather. The router, as well as the airport. But every day, and I don't know if it's the age of the Airport Express.
Well, For one thing, you might want to try taking the router out of the equation. You only need the modem. You already have a router. That's the airport.
Yeah, no, right. It's a smaller one.
Yeah, I understand. It's a router modem, right? It's one box that do both.
No, I'm sorry. From Spectrum, it's just
a modem.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so it's not routing. So that is a common problem. It doesn't sound like you have that problem, but when people have more than one router, commonly because the cable company gave you one, and then you have your own. Sometimes people double NAT, they call it, double network address translation. They let the router route and they let their cable modem route, and then too many things are routing, and that can cause problems. That doesn't sound like the problem you're having.
Yeah, no, because
you're not using a router, you're just using a cable modem from Spectrum.
Correct. I used to have one that did both, and that was the issue.
You replaced that with the airport, yeah. So you find if you reboot the cable modem, everything's fine, or do you have to reboot the whole chain?
I have to reboot the whole chain because I'll be in the middle of a movie, and it usually only happens when I'm not working because, of course. So when I'm actually trying to not work and watch something, then something will happen, and then I'll have to redo the whole thing.
So it tends to be when you're watching streaming video?
Or just whenever. It could happen now when I'm not doing it. There's really no rhyme or reason to when it happens. It just will. I'll come home from not even using it. I'll be out and about and come back and it's flashing orange. So I have to redo the whole thing. It doesn't really, there's no rhyme or reason of what sets it off. I just don't know if it's the janky cable service, which is all possible, or just the fact that something is happening on my end that I don't really know about.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that, and some ISPs do this, that the ISP is periodically, the cable modem is periodically resetting its lease to your router, and your router is going, what? And then you have to reboot the router. Have you ever tried rebooting the router?
Yeah.
And that does not fix it?
Correct, because I have to remove the power from both.
If you just remove the power from one, that wouldn't fix it. You got to do both.
If I do it from right. So I don't know if it's because of the any updates to the cable the internet service since I had this. Like I said, this airport is at least.
They don't even make it anymore. Apple got out of the business. So that's one argument for. I don't know if my problem is I don't know if it'd fix it. But honestly, I think you'd do yourself a favor by getting a new router just because they're better these days. They're better technology. If Spectrum is doing something unusual, it might be that a newer router would know about that because, of course, a lot of people would use it with a Spectrum service. And
sure.
So maybe that's just the solution. Apple doesn't even update those routers anymore. So
they don't make anything like that.
No, they stopped. They got out of the business. So that would be one thing to probably replace it and get if you're going to get a new router, I really like the ASUS routers. They're very capable. They also run a firmware that can easily be updated and modified. I'm just a fan of the ASUS routers. But so that might be one way to at least attempt the fix. I'm not sure what's going on, though. That's the issue.
Okay. All right. Well, if they haven't made this for years, then that sort of it could just be worn out. It could be tired. Okay.
It could be saying, I don't know if I can work all day. I need a break.
Yeah, sure.
I can't guarantee that it fixed it. It could be Spectrum's doing something strange, but it sounds to me like it would be a good idea to replace it. They do security patches, but this router has been out of manufacture for several years now.
Okay. Now it's just for the home. It's just for the house. It's
how many square feet?
Well, I don't know, but I do know the walls are plaster, so I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, sometimes it depends what kind of plaster. Plaster usually is good. If there's any metal in it, though, that's a problem. Look at the ASUS routers. Anything in the ASUS line would be fine. I think you don't need to spend a lot of money because you're not. It doesn't sound like a lot of area needs to be covered. You don't need a mesh system, something more expensive. I'll give you some recommendations in a bit, but let me just, you don't need a super fancy Asus. And you're probably going to have to buy online. I've noticed, I went into the Staples or something the other day, and they really didn't have a very good selection. I was really surprised also at how expensive all their routers were. If you were going to, I think nowadays you don't need you shouldn't get a $20 router. But so you're going to spend, but you spend a lot. You spend $150 on that Airport Extreme, so that's roughly where you're going to be. Actually, I would go to the Wirecutter and just check out the reviews, but probably the AC 2600 would be more than adequate. That's kind of their base model. You don't need one of they have some that look like spiders. They have eight antennas and stuff. You don't need that. AC 2900 is dual band gigabit. That's pretty fast. The 1900 even be fine. They're dual band. Oh, that's mesh. They're really good routers. I'm very happy with them. I'm sure the chat room has suggestions. I told you, Mike B, the router's worn out. 6 cups. There you go. TheWirecutter.com. That's always a good place to get your reviews. They have a very good guy that does their reviews. Jim Slater? I can't remember his name. The best Wi-Fi router. Oh, that's right. I remember they like the Nighthawk. The Netgear R7000P Nighthawk. $190. No, I'm sorry, $155 from Amazon. That's not too bad. Oh, I forgot the Synologies. Those are quite good. They're a little pricier, though. And they always like the TP-Links, the Archer. That's cheap. That might be all you need. They actually don't mention the Asuses. I'm surprised. Update at the top. Update at the top. Update at the top. Update at the top. Oh, new pick. The Archer. New pick, June 21st. Ooh, look at that baby. 6 antennas. It's got to be good. Tri-band, MIMO, VPN server, advanced security by HomeCare, 1.8 CPU, gigabit beamforming, link aggregating, range boosting, Wi-Fi router with Alexa. Yikes. Our show today brought to you by Lastpass. Oh, I hope you're using Lastpass. I hope everybody in the vast listening audience knows about Lastpass. Passwords are a necessary evil. I'm sorry, but we have to have passwords. At least you can use good passwords, a different password for every site. Passwords that are long and random, that means you can't remember them. If you can remember your password, it's a bad password. With LastPass, there's only one password you have to remember, the master password. Everything else generated by LastPass, stored by LastPass in encrypted storage. We use LastPass Enterprise here at TWiT. I use LastPass Families at home. LastPass Enterprise now has a new, I love this, they have a new LastPass business lineup with 3 products that IT is going to love and your users are going to love. LastPass Enterprise now has a single sign-on technology, 1,200 pre-integrated apps. So this makes it very easy. SSO means your users will love this, but it's more secure than passwords. They also have LastPass MFA, multi-factor, that goes beyond standard 2-factor. LastPass MFA ensures only the right users are accessing the right data at the right time without adding complexity. Users love it. You'll love it. It uses a biometric like facial recognition, voice, or fingerprint, plus contextual factors like geolocation and IP addresses. So you're really getting a strong authentication that's intuitive and easy for your employees to use, and your admins can deploy it across cloud, legacy, on-prem, VPN, everywhere. Finally, there's Lastpass Identity. This is also new. This is a combination of LastPass Enterprise and LastPass MFA. LastPass Identity gives you a holistic view of end-to-end end-user activity from a single dashboard that covers everything, passwords, authentication, all the apps in use. This is an IT department's dream. We love these. They're coming out in July. We're going to talk a lot more about them. We use LastPass Enterprise. I know you use LastPass at home. You better. Now you got to check out this brand new LastPass business lineup at lastpass.com/twit. If you're not using LastPass, you're at risk. LastPass.com/twit. We got a tip of the hat. You might say, well, that music sounds a little different than Big Pee Wee's choices, and it does, because Michael Cozio is on loan. Our musical director today, the return of the great Mike Cozio, on loan from. Who do you work for these days? Not me. Are you working for Coast to Coast these days?
Yep, Coast to Coast.
All right. He's on loan from a higher authority. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Kevin in Bellflower, California is next. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Leo. Glad to talk to you again.
Thanks for calling again. Yes.
I am not a techie guy. My wife usually solves all the problems on the computers, but she gets me to call.
Okay.
We just came back from a beautiful Alaska cruise.
Oh, nice.
We've got an iMac running Mojave 10.14.5.
You're up to date.
Time Machine.
Yep.
Time Machine backup.
Yep.
And we've downloaded our photos, and we got a new GoPro, and we've been trying to download the video, and our Time Machine is telling us it can't complete the backup because it could not create a local snapshot to back up because there was insufficient free space on the source volume.
Yeah. You're out of room on your hard drive.
Right.
So have you looked at your Time Machine drive, and is the Time Machine drive on a separate external drive?
Yes.
Yeah.
It says I've got 32.61 gigabytes available out of my 3 terabytes.
Good. And how about the internal drive?
It's a 1 terabyte Fusion drive. It says I got 20 gigabytes available.
Ah, 20. That's pretty low. 20 out of 1,000.
Yes.
So apparently the Time Machine creates a snapshot locally. I actually really don't know how Time Machine works, so I know it's funky. Apparently it needs some space locally before it copies it out to the external drive. I'm not sure what it's doing there. Okay. Normally you get that message. Well, that's interesting because the message does imply it's the drive it's backing up, not the drive it's backing up to. So
yeah, that's what it says. Because Time Machine is supposed to rotate so that the
if your external drive is bigger than your internal drive, usually you're okay. But you could fill up it. You could I guess fill up a Time Machine, especially if your external drive was smaller. But that's the error message you just read to me implies it's the internal drive that's the problem. And with 20 gigabytes free, I think that sounds about right. So you have a couple of choices. One is to free up space on the internal drive if there's stuff on there you don't need. That's a lot of. You filled up 1.5 terabytes. There's a lot of stuff on there.
Well, yeah, we use the computer not only for our stuff. We have a ministry group we use it for. My daughter is a vice principal and choir teacher.
Oh, somebody in the chat room just said something that makes a lot of sense. If the external drive can't be seen, Time Machine will make the backup locally. In other words, and that's actually what it should say is, I don't see my drive. Make sure you can see the external drive. Does it show up on your desktop? Do you see an icon for it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it shows up as My Book for Mac.
Yeah, my books are the Western Digital externals.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to clean up your internal drive. It sounds like, it really is quite full. I know 20 gigabytes sounds like an awful lot of space, doesn't it? I remember when we would get...
when 2 gigabytes was a lot.
I know. I was just going to say that. I remember getting my first PC with a 2 gigabyte drive, and I went, wow, I'll never run out of room on this thing.
Yeah.
Well, so I think that's probably the issue right now. You do want to make sure that the external drive is not full and that Time Machine is actually creating backups to the external drive, that it's visible. That sounds to me like might be a cause for concern. Maybe go out and get a bigger drive. Maybe, and the other thing, I don't recommend relying on Time Machine as your sole backup. Time Machine, the way Time Machine works is kind of funky.
Okay.
So it might be a good idea to run over to your big box store and get a large 4 terabyte or so drive. They're not expensive nowadays. And make what I would suggest is get a program called Super Duper. Big fan of Super Duper. What it's designed to do, there's a free version, and then I pay for it because it's really good. It's from shirtpocketsoftware.com. And what it will do is it'll make a bootable external disk that's an exact copy of the internal drive.
Okay.
I like that because if something goes wrong with the internal drive, you just reboot the Mac, hold down the Option key, and say boot to the backup, and it'll be just like you won't miss a step.
Okay, and that was Shirt Pocket.
Shirt-pocket.com.
Shirt-pocket.com.
There's a free version which will do what you want to do, but I like paying the guy $28 because it's the best software out there for this stuff. It makes bootable disks. It also can run on a schedule. So what I have a Time Machine running, but I also have Super Duper running on a schedule every night. It makes an exact duplicate of my data disk to a much larger data disk. So I have 3 copies and plus the internal original. And I think if you really value your stuff, that's a good idea. Once you've made a copy of that internal disk, if you want, you can delete the files that you think you probably don't need. Just remember that now you don't have a backup. You just have the Super Duper. Well, you do have a backup, Super Duper and the Time Machine.
The one option I thought about was we also have a Lacey and a...
oh, you have lots of external drives, yeah.
Yeah, we've got 2 of them, and we've got a Seagate.
Well, you don't need a new one. Okay.
I was thinking, should we just perhaps take the heavy files like the video and the photos, put them on those?
Yes, absolutely. And then what you want to start thinking about, if this stuff's important to you, is a strategy for long-term backup. And that... if you, especially since it sounds like you have videos and files that are important not just to you but to other people, so you have kind of a responsibility to your church and so forth to keep those safe.
We're sort of like the central storage facility.
Yeah, you've just assumed some real responsibility. You don't want to imagine. Hell hath no fury, like a church congregation who's lost all its video. So you probably want to think about a serious backup strategy. I'll tell you what I do. My music files, my photos, and my documents are the 3 things I really want to make sure I don't lose. What I do, and it's an expensive strategy, but it's a good strategy, is I have a network attached storage, very large, I think 9 terabyte network attached storage drive. And I make sure every night that's in addition to what I just described, the Super Duper, the Time Machine, the network attached storage. And so I make sure that all of those critical media files are stored on that, backed up to that every night, and then it backs up to the cloud. So that way I don't ever worry about my data. Because I know I have not only 3 local copies, I have a copy up there in heaven.
Okay.
And it will never be...
We haven't used the cloud much, and maybe I should.
Well, you can do free backup to the cloud if you're an Amazon Prime member. If you use Google Photos, Google Photos will back up all your images for free, unlimited.
Okay.
Shutterfly will do that as well. Now, be careful if it's stuff that you don't have the rights to put up there. Pictures of other people, they might. Google keeps it private, but still, you're uploading stuff. Some people might be sensitive to that. So if you don't have people's permission, maybe encrypted cloud storage rather than going through Google. Not that Google leaks it. There's never been a case of that, but you have a higher responsibility here. Backup is so important. It really is. And you don't, because the day you lose the data is the day you go, oh, I wish I'd thought more about this. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Google Drive is now very inexpensive. I mean, it's I have 2 terabytes on Google Drive for $100 a year.
Wow.
Chances are you're
Prime members.
Oh, Prime is great then. Amazon has unlimited backup for photos to Prime.
Okay. And do you have a recommendation on, you said, a large terabyte drive?
Well, it sounds like you've got plenty with the Lacey's and the Seagate. Seagate makes a 4 terabyte drive. That's what I use for my Time Machine. It's possible your time machine is full. It doesn't sound like it's full, but
Well, it says I've only got 32 gigs available.
yeah, and you might be trying to put more than that on there. And so that's where the error message might say, well, I can't put it on the time machine external. I'll try to do it internal. Oh, no, there's nothing on the internal. And the error message, instead of saying, well, you've run out of room on your external drive, says you've run out of room on your internal drive. It might be something like that.
Yeah, maybe, because what we're trying to do is we got all the photos. It was the video, the GoPro video now.
Yeah, those are big, right?
Yeah.
They may be a gig or two each. I have a 4 terabyte external Seagate drive, $88.
Wow.
I mean, they're cheap. Under $100 for 4 terabytes. We live in amazing times.
Yeah. I remember the first Mac I got had the floppy disk, putting them in and out.
Yeah. Yeah, and you had to swap it 100 times just to load Mac Paint.
Yes.
It was terrible. And if you ever wanted to copy a disc, it was, a bunch of 12 disc swaps. It was crazy. We've come a long way, baby.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
My
Really
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I see heaven in his eyes. It's Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer, and our gizmo wizard. Hello, Dickie D.
How are you, pal?
I am doing great. You're wearing your beach shirt. I love that.
Yeah, my travel shirt. It's every way to travel, but it's mostly beach. It's beach
got there's a Woody
exactly.
on there with a surfboard.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
and
so cool.
old cars.
I love that.
Yeah, it's neat. It's a fun thing.
Yeah. Now, Dick joins us. First of all, I should say he's a legend. He is the Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer.
And he comes on your show?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Declining legend.
No, I'm a declining legend. You're just a legend.
No.
Hall of Famer, the greatest. You actually won a Hall of Fame award, didn't you?
I won a thing called the Inkpot Award, and I won it the same year that Steven Spielberg did, so I was in great company.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime achievement in comic arts is what it's for.
This man is a lifetime achiever. I'm a coffee achiever, so we have something in common. So Dick usually brings us some crazy gadget or gizmo. What do you have today?
Well, you know what? This will skew toward older people in your audience. CE Week is in the middle of June in New York City, and I did that little cube last week. So Kodak, actually a licensee of Kodak called C&A, they were showing some 35 millimeter scanners.
Oh,
now they make
we were just talking about this.
A cheapy one, Leo. It's actually it's heavy duty cardboard.
Wait a minute.
And it has a little
scanners made out of cardboard.
Out of cardboard, and there's a little light stand inside. The funny thing is, I'm thinking, what? But I was reading the reviews on Amazon, and someone said for $40, I have a limited number of 35 millimeter slides I want to digitize. And
because
it uses
these
your
are
own
expensive
phone.
Normally. These are thousands of dollars. So this is a box you put your phone in.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, if you have a lot of stuff, they have one that does 35 millimeter, 126, 110, Super 8. I said, sir, I still have a roll of 8 millimeter. He said, well, there's a little carriage for that. Now, this is just to make snapshots from 8 millimeter and Super 8. And that is their biggie, the Scanza, which is like 100 and the Scanza. Okay. It has a 3.5-inch LCD screen. Ooh. And that you put a micro SD card in, your own SD card in, and then you can vary the resolution. You can up the resolution if you want.
But you still need a phone.
In it. No, that just saves it directly into a card. That one has HDMI out.
Ooh. But it's still cardboard?
No, that's
that's
like a If you go to gizwiz.biz, there's a photo of the two of them so you can see.
Okay.
So the $160 one is a standalone guy. There's a slot in the front for 35 millimeter. And then it takes the other formats into the side. And that one, they're both on sale. And it's the big one that has HDMI out and can do everything that the little. So you see, there's the little $40.
Yeah, I'm looking at the little one. Looks like a film box.
Yeah, it does.
I love it as the Kodak logo.
It almost looks like you open it up and say, "Well, where's the
Yeah.
scanner?" And then the little sheet falls out and said, "You just opened your scanner."
That's cool.
Put
That's
batteries
cool.
in for the little bulb.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's two ways. And as I said, you know, if you're young, you started in the digital age. So, but if you're older guys like us, you probably have 35 millimeter.
Well,
probably
that's the
not
thing.
126.
And now's the
or
time to
110.
get rid of that and scan it so you can store it digitally and you can forget it. You know, throw it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is
And do it in your home.
Yeah, do it in your home because you shouldn't do it in the streets. If you don't like that I walk around naked, then you can go to another Starbucks. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
It's that flow system that you used to have.
Yeah. Dick is at gizwiz.biz, GIZWIZ.biz. That's where he makes his home on the internet. So you click the box that says the GizWiz is the tech guy. You can get all the information about these scanners. You should also click the what the heck is that box. It's
Yeah,
just to win.
2 days.
Yeah, we're almost done at the end of the month. I think it's a toothbrush holder. I don't know. I can't quite figure it out. But if you can figure it out, send the answer to Dick. All the rules are on the website, gizwiz.biz. You could win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Don't forget Dick's great podcast every week, gizwiz.tv. Thank you, Dickie D.
Thank you, sir.
Great to see you. Have a good week.
You too. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th. Oh, are you going to do...
Oh, wait, no. I'll be here next week. That's, yes.
No,
but the 4th will be over.
The 4th is Wednesday. Now, normally, don't you go out on your boat. Are you going to do this? This is the silliest thing I ever heard of.
Probably not this year. But, you know, I
in the past, for New York City fireworks, they're what, on the Hudson?
They were on the Hudson. I just sat in my boat. Then they moved them into the East River.
And then, but you would stay on your boat in the Hudson, and you'd look in between the buildings.
Yeah, go to 34th Street, very wide street, get up on the mast, because I had a tugboat with a mast, and then have a little TV, 12-volt TV, to see the bottom of the fireworks.
Oh,
and then I could look up and see the top of the fireworks.
They'd be coming out of the top of your TV.
Yeah, exactly.
Very clever. So what are you going to do this year? By the way, it's Thursday. Don't go out on Wednesday. You may be a little disappointed. What are you going to do on Thursday? Are you going to go see the fireworks?
I'm going to watch them on television.
That's probably the best idea.
It is.
Thank you, Dickie D. Happy 4th. All right. Take care. Gloria, North Hollywood. Last call of the day. Hi, Gloria.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for talking to me again.
Of course. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
I have to mention again, as you probably already know, I'm getting my first phone. You've
been getting your first phone for a year now.
I know.
Okay. Maybe longer.
I really am. Rich DeMiro said on one of his segments that Verizon is offering a plan for $40 a month called Visible. And I want to know, when I go to buy the phone, is there a place that I should go to just buy the phone without the plan?
This is a really interesting idea from Verizon. There's no contracts. It's basically an app, unlimited data, $40 a month. I haven't used it, so I don't know if I can recommend it. I want to try it though. I think it's very interesting. But you can get a phone from Verizon, of course, but you can also bring your phone to it.
Right.
And you can get unlocked phones anywhere. Amazon. You just make sure when you look at the specs that it works with Verizon. That's the only key. Some phones will only work with AT&T and T-Mobile's networks. I would look. I'm a big fan of the Motorola phones. The Motorola G7 or one of its predecessors. They're very affordable. You can get them unlocked. This is the key. Get it unlocked from Motorola And these are just fantastic phones, Motorola.com, for $200, $300.
Oh. Okay.
So take a look at those. I think they're great. I'm going to have to check to make sure they work with Visible because this is a new service. I have to learn more about what it requires. But as long as it works with Verizon, I think it should. Thanks, Gloria. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, here's a page. Hang on, Gloria. Verizon Visible compatibility. So they have a page at visible.com/compatible, which you can select. You have to enter the IMEI number. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that these will work. I can't imagine they won't. But if you already had a phone, on the Visible site, you can enter in that special code that says it's your phone.
Oh.
Yeah. So Google also sells phones unlocked direct if you wanted a Google Pixel 3a, which I think is also a very good phone, a little more expensive.
Don't need anything special. I'm not going to be watching movies. I'm not going to be gaming. I'm not going to be taking too many pictures. I'm not going to be, what else is there? I just want a just ordinary plain phone, nothing big. I probably won't even carry it with me.
Okay. So it's like an emergency phone more.
Yeah, kind of, because I don't want it anyway.
You don't want it in the first place.
I know, yes. My family members are killing me by demanding that I get one.
So I can't see why it wouldn't work on Visible. Verizon sells Moto G6 phones in their store for use on the Verizon network. It's just that this Visible thing is just completely new to me, and I'm not sure if they have different requirements. They can't. It's on the Verizon network. So I'm thinking, actually, let me see the new phones they sell. This is another. You don't want a locked phone because you don't want to buy it from them because.
Oh, I don't. I was, I guess, always thinking of Samsung, but I don't care where I get it. It doesn't matter to me. Like I say, I don't know that much about these phones.
They're selling an S9, which is last year's Samsung, and actually a great phone for $400. And then it works with Visible. Because you buy it from Visible. Oh. They have their own phone for $99. I can't imagine it's a very good phone. They don't even say what it is.
Oh, I see. So don't look for a real inexpensive, really, really inexpensive.
I would see. I mean, so you're a conundrum to me because on the one hand, I usually tell people don't be too cheap because you're going to get a phone that's not secure, not up to date, hard to use. It's like buying a really cheap computer. If it doesn't work long term for you, that's a bad thing. But I'm not sure exactly what you need. You may not need anything too fancy. They sell iPhones this is your first smartphone, right?
Right.
So there is something to be said for getting an iPhone. The problem is they're very expensive.
Yeah.
They sell pre-owned, and I'm noticing that on Visible because they expect people to want to save money. That's why they're using Visible. They do sell inexpensive iPhones. $310 for a pre-owned iPhone 8. That is not bad. And you might be happier with an iPhone just because it's not as hard to use as an Android phone.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. They're very simple. People like me like Android because we like to tweak it and mess with it, but you don't want to do that.
I probably wouldn't know how anyway.
Yeah. They sell iPhone 7s for $288. That, I think for your first smartphone, that would not be a bad choice.
Now, this you're talking about going to...
They sell it on the Visible site, visible.com.
Oh, okay.
That way you know it's going to work.
Right.
Because you got it from Visible.
Okay.
How about that?
That sounds like a great idea. So just go to the Visible website and okay.
Yeah, visible.com. And boy, iPhone 7 is fine. I mean, it's a couple years old, but this is your first smartphone.
Right.
It was the hot new phone for me a couple of years ago, so what's wrong with that, right?
Right.
And it's $288. That's a great price.
Okay.
You can spread it out. They'll $12 a month if you want. So, yeah, this Visible thing is really interesting from Verizon. I think Verizon's always been the most expensive service. And I think that they were losing business to people like T-Mobile who've really undercut them. So this plan is $40 and that's it. Right? You get everything for $40. Now, the bad news is It's not going to be super fast for a hotspot. It's going to have limits on how much data you can use, that kind of thing. I should get, you know what?
Unlimited stuff, is that text when you say?
No, well, usually, let me look at this plan. I think it's unlimited phone and text. I'm pretty sure it's unlimited phone and text because nobody would charge you for text messages anymore, but they don't say explicitly. I'm sure it's unlimited phone and text.
Okay.
And then the limit would be on data. Now, it says unlimited data, messages, and minutes. Oh, for a limited time, we've removed our speed cap, free for as long as you remain a member. Now, that's pretty good. No contract, no fees, no stores. $40 a month. I think this sounds like, that's a good price for a cell service, all in, everything.
Okay.
They say they don't slow you down.
Okay.
Oh, somebody's telling me that, interesting.
What?
So, everything's on data, even the phone calls. I don't think that's necessarily a problem.
What does that mean exactly?
So normally, if you have a cell phone, your phone calls and your text messages go through a phone network and your data goes through a data network. But honestly, these days, all phone calls are data. Skype, for instance, is a data call instead of a regular phone call. When you call from your house, though, that's a phone call. Except that by the time it gets to the switching office, it's turned into data, and then they transmit it over the world, around the world over data. So everything is data. This is a really interesting play from Verizon. I'm gonna have to sign up for this and see how it works. It sounds like as long as you can get Verizon LTE, which is very good, and it definitely is in LA area. You're gonna be able. The phone calls could sound even better. Frankly, this is a really interesting idea. I've got to learn more about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm just going to order it.
Well, would you call me, Gloria, after a week or two and say how you like it?
Okay, but I wouldn't be able to tell you one.
You couldn't compare it to something else.
Yeah, because
all I'm really curious about is the phone calls. I think the phone calls will sound better.
Okay.
Because you're not using the antiquated phone network.
Right.
You're using voice over LTE. And that's why you do have to get a phone that supports voice over LTE. So that is a little bit of a limitation with this.
But
so I would get the phone from them, in other words.
Okay.
And an iPhone, $233. An iPhone 7 that's all you'd need. $288 is all you need.
Okay.
I think that's a great choice. It's your first smartphone. It's a perfect choice.
Great. Thank you thanks for listening to me again and again and again.
Gloria, I love you. You're always great. I look forward to it.
Good, because I'll be calling you to let you know.
Will you please? I want your review.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, I got to try it. So it sounds like you could take any phone, bring it, put the app on your phone, and suddenly you're, for $40 a month, no contract. That's pretty amazing. This is on Verizon regular, and I pay $90 a month. If I never hear from her again, it didn't work. Who? Gloria? Who? Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.